Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast, where we interview experts in driver recruiting. We provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to help you level up your recruiting game. Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Craddock, and today I have Jeremy Raymer with Driver Reach and also with Project 61, which is why I brought him on today. So thank you for coming on today, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And so I was scrolling LinkedIn, I don't know, it was maybe a month ago. And I was like, is that Jeremy interviewing Jeremy? And sure enough, and so it just caught my eye. Like, I love it. And it was Jeremy with Driver Reach and his podcast, like talking about Project 61 and interviewing himself. And so it cut from one scene of Jeremy to another scene of Jeremy in a slightly different outfit. And so I love that creativity and the fun that comes with that. And so that made me want to dive more into and hearing what Project 61 is. And, you and I have chatted a little bit about it, but I'm excited today on our show to dive in a little bit more. And I think why you should watch this episode as a director of recruiting, a recruiter, a fleet executive, is that driver health impacts recruiting and retention and different initiatives around it. And we'll dive more into that. And so we're going to try to be clear and concise and add as much value to you guys today, and really appreciate you joining in. So, and particularly one of the things we talk about on this podcast is a growth mindset. And Jeremy's just somebody I think of that's constantly growing and reading and learning. And even this is like, how can we as an industry grow and have that mindset around a topic of driver health? So Jeremy, specifically, how did you learn about the average life expectancy of a driver, and what is that?
So it's not a recent statistic. The CDC, right, part of the government, put out this data point about almost 10 years ago. And I think I had heard it, at least that long ago, probably 6 to 10 years ago. And I didn't pay any mind. I don't want to say I didn't care, but I would imagine a lot of your audience had heard that data point before, and they just sort of brush it aside, because it's not very comforting. It doesn't make you feel good. And so from that perspective, and that wasn't what I was focused on anyway at the time, both personally nor as an employer, even though I was an employer of a whole bunch of drivers, about 500 full-time and part-time drivers at that time. But yeah, that's the data point. And I guess it had to do with my personal journey in the last couple of years, really taking better care of myself as I get older, that data point sort of resurfaced, and then it really hit me between the eyes. Like, this is just not okay.
Yeah. So what happened with your personal journey, with health?
Well, I'd like to say that it was this epiphany that I did on my own, but I'm part of this book club with a bunch of dads that our kids go to school with. The moms have their book club, so the dads formed our own. And one of the books that was chosen to read 2 summers ago, was How Not to Die. And it's all about the merits of a whole plant-based diet, and really sort of jettisoning the processed food and sugary drinks and stuff like that. And after doing that, started sort of adopting that after reading that book, not only did I feel so much better, but I also started losing some weight about 45 pounds over the course of a couple of years, just methodically. And so from that perspective, that's, I think, what got me in the right headspace to really embrace this and say, what's life about, and how do we got to help these guys. That's just not okay. It's such a disparity between, and these guys are so important with the work that they do. And it's so difficult what they do every day. The cards are stacked against them. I want to leverage my industry influence to be a voice for positive change. Because they're human beings. They're not just truck drivers. They have a life. They have people that they love, things they want to do in their life. I want to help them.
Yeah. How did you lose 40 pounds? How did you do that?
It honestly, so much of that is when you eat a lot of processed food, you get so much inflammation that comes from that. And, you just retain so much water, you overeat, and you're not getting any nutrition. With what I eat now and what I've just been eating on a regular basis, it's almost, a lot of vegetables, and I eat meat. There was a point where I wasn't eating any meat at all. I've incorporated meat, fish, and stuff like that a little bit, but mostly plants. When you start eating that, you're getting so much more nutrition, so much proper, caloric density in what you eat, so you're full longer, and then exercise. I mean, I've been far more active in the last year than probably I have ever, and I'm 50. I feel better at 50 than I did at 40, than I did at 30, and so much of that is the mental clarity. I sleep better because I'm eating better and getting and more active. And it's really just prioritizing those things, prioritizing yourself, your health, and as a result, so many other things just they're all intertwined.
Hmm. Yeah, I can relate to you on that because yeah, 5 years or yeah, around 5 years ago, like I found myself 100 pounds overweight, drinking too much, eating bad food and all kinds of things. And that was about the time we started, like we had a baby on the way, like our first child. And I was just like, I want to be around
Yeah,
not just for him to grow up, but my grandkids. And I was like, at this rate, because my grandfather's brothers all died before they were 50, from different heart related things. And a lot of that was diet and
yeah,
lifestyle choices. And yeah, so it excited me when you were taking like the more I dove into this as a step challenge, starting out as one of the initiatives that, I mean, that's what I did for years. I didn't lose it quick. I just started tracking steps,
hmm,
had accountability, changed diet. And I did the same thing. I switched to all plants for a while. Now I've added meat back in, but really just not. I mean, for me, it's like anything with more than 5 ingredients, like I shouldn't touch, like it's over processed and as much as possible, single ingredients that I know what they are. But yeah, I mean, that's just helped. Like now I can, I'd gotten to the point where I would go on a hike. I remember hiking in Gatlinburg one time and I was winded just on the first quarter mile of the hike. And this was me in my early 30s, like I just turned 30. And yeah, where now I can, go on a 10-mile hike, no problem. But it's just that consistency, tracking, accountability. And I sloughed off a little bit on it. So I'm excited to join you guys in the step challenge because I've put 15, I've gotten to my low last year where I was down and like just over 100 pounds. And I put on about 15 pounds back just through traveling a lot more this year and
hmm.
just not being as intentional as I should be.
I think that's the operative
And
word, though, Aaron. Intentional, being super intentional
mhm,
about it. And you talked about diet, like the number one cause of death in America is the standard American diet. It's so bad.
mhm,
What most people eat, it's just so bad. And that education is
mhm,
really part of what this is about, is making sure that you understand these things and then how to be intentional about making, course correcting.
mhm. And acknowledging that it's hard. Like when you're on the road, so I just said, I've been traveling more this year and it's been harder
Yeah.
because like when I stop predominantly at truck stops on the four-wheeler side when I'm traveling around the country. And but still, I mean, I know there's the little cold food section I can go to that has things with fewer than 5 ingredients. And then, bananas and oranges at the front. But I mean, it's hard. And same thing in the airport. Thankfully they've started to add some healthy choices like little salads and things like that from the little vending machines. But yeah, intentional. And then the crazy thing is with tracking, like everything I track, like I do more of. And so that kind of gets into like what is the step challenge coming up in November, or as this episode launches. I think that it just started, but you can still join in.
Sure. Yeah. So this just happened. It wasn't intentional from the beginning. I was part of this step challenge. It's with my, with Driver Reach earlier this year. We all did it. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of, competition, but also fun bantering back and forth. And at the end of the day, everyone's activity rose because they were more mindful of it and intentional with it. And so I was talking to a buddy just a few weeks ago, and he's like, I need some accountability. And I said, well, here's this step thing. Let's do this thing together so we can see each other's steps. Now, I know I walk all the time. I mean, miles a day, all the time. That's the least thing I do is always walk because that's easy, right? It just takes time. You got to be intentional. And anyway, I invited a few other people and a few other people. And then it started growing like crazy. And I thought, let's do a 61-day step challenge. Obviously, and this is all about awareness. I mean, I realize that, and there are drivers in this today. There are almost 300 people in it, and I think I'm pushing. I'd love to see us get upwards of 1,000, but there are drivers in it. That's who is most acute, obviously, from a life expectancy standpoint. But all of us in this industry, if we sit in front of a desk all day long, we stand to gain by being more active. And again, the number one goal of this step challenge is to raise awareness of this issue first. That's sort of the tip of the spear. And then obviously there's so much education that's necessary around health and nutrition, around exercise and movement, and around sleep. And then of course we need drivers to change some behavior. We got to help them. We got to make it easy for them and help them understand why this matters and connect the dots, similar to why you and I made those changes. In our case, you and I, it was because of our children and the future that we want to be a part of. So I think most people can relate to that. And I want to help them connect those dots so that because that's lasting change. It's not just because I want to look good for the summer, the beach body. I want to be healthy for my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I found that wanting to look good for the summer, might last for a little bit, but then I put the weight back on. Where if my why is something like you were saying, like surviving, like being around for certain people. And, that was the only thing that really motivated me. Right. And then I tried a million times on my own to do it. And then, would just fall short, lose 10 pounds, gain 20. I mean, that was my cycle. But yeah, just the accountability around it. Now let's take a minute to thank today's sponsor. Do you hire truck drivers in hard to fill areas, or do you need help creating efficiency in your recruiting department? You're not alone. With 50 plus years experience, Trucking Clicks specializes in data-driven strategies, industry-leading customer experience, and custom solutions that'll get you to your goal. Trucking Clicks is your go-to place for high-quality, direct leads at scale. Visit truckingclicks.com or call 512-982-0816 today. So how does this affect driver recruiting and retention specifically?
Yeah.
And why should fleets get involved?
Well, I think everybody that I've talked to, here's what I'm so grateful for. I feel like the time is right for this as a movement. There have been people all throughout my, industry career, 20 plus years, who have always been promoters of health and wellness, but it's always in the periphery, but never seemed to really get any mainstream support or attention. So I really am encouraged by the outpouring of support from all corners of the industry. But in this case specifically, it's so drivers they want to work for a place that they know that cares about them, that they're not just, means to an end. We're going to use this driver, who's, if their life expectancy is 61, next we'll get a new one. That's not the mindset that any driver wants to go into, with who they're going to be driving for. So knowing that this is a company that says, look, this is what we do to earn money, right? But that money isn't the end all. The money is just so that you can have a life to do these things. And those things are going to be different for everybody. But mostly it's about, I've got one life. What am I going to do with it? I've got family. I've got children. I've got grandchildren, perhaps. I want to have good experiences with them before I expire. Isn't that what we all kind of want? I mean, isn't that what it's all about if you take the 10,000 foot view? And if so, okay, well, I want to work for a company that's how they think. And because then now we're aligned in a way that thank you, right? So from a recruiting standpoint, I think that, and then obviously from a retention, once you're in there and you realize that you're working for a company, that this is who they are and what they're about, and they're helping me. And by the way, when they're doing these things, not only do I feel better personally, but I'm going to be able to do this job longer if I want to. And therefore make more money, but my costs are going to go down, my health insurance and premiums and those sorts of things, because I'm not part of this group that is just hemorrhaging our system with, health related, costs and work comp and those sorts of things. So there's tons of benefits financially, but that shouldn't be the primary motivator, in my opinion. I feel like it needs to be because this is the right thing to do. We need, if you and I, our average life expectancy is probably 75 to 78 ish. 61 is that's just unacceptable. That's not for, it's just unacceptable.
Yeah, I saw someone you had on your show talking about too, just even the rate of diabetes with truckers is, double the average. I think it was 15 to 17%
Right.
of drivers to have diabetes, like as I was doing research preparing for today. And
that's all lifestyle. That is all lifestyle. That's diet and lack of exercise or sleep or both.
Yeah. And that's honestly why we're jumping on here today, is like, it's the right thing to do. Normally we're not talking about like this type of thing. Like we're talking about the weeds of recruiting and retention. But at the end of the day, like what's more meaningful, like if we can actually, help people, like you and I have probably extended our life by focusing on more of these things and tracking, and how can we help this massive industry that moves everything, everything in the room behind you, everything in my office here, like came on a truck at some point. And so how can we, make the, small difference, like by raising awareness. And I liked how you called it a movement. Like I would love for this to just crazy catch on, and I really, I think out of the gate, like 300 is probably, just getting rolling. And I mean, if we get single fleets like from today to get all their drivers involved, I mean, that could be, typically we're talking with 500 plus truck fleets, like even get one fleet involved. And so if that's you listening today and you want to get involved, and so where is the best place, Jeremy, for them to reach out to you, like if fleets are wanting to get rolling with this?
So if you go to project-61.org, the website there, it's got, and it's relatively new. I mean, this is all this movement that we're talking about. Literally, it was late September, whenever that episode came out that you were referring to earlier with me interviewing myself, which was a lot of fun. That was when I really launched, Project 61. It had been an idea, all throughout the year, and kept talking about it, but finally I needed to act. And so on that website, you can find, the step challenge, and that's the easiest place to direct everybody. But I would also say, referring to, or in regards to like the 500 truck fleet folks, they don't have to participate in this particular challenge, although I would love it if they did. They can create their own. So they can have their own ABC trucking, step challenge, and invite just their own drivers. They control it. It's free. It is so cool. Step Up is the app that's free, that's downloadable. I'm not, I'm not any part of it. There's no affiliation there, except it was just this great tool for us to track, for accountability. You can cheer people on, taunt people a little bit, and it just makes it fun. And that which gets tracked gets improved, or measured, right, gets improved. I mean, that's an old adage. It's true, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah. And one of the things that I was thinking about as you're talking about that is like you just started taking action. Because one of the old adages or things I've heard is there's 3 frogs sitting on a log, 2 decide to jump off. So how many are still there, Jeremy?
Yeah, because I know the adage, because I can relate. There's 3. Now we all think, oh, just 1, right? Because they decided to act. But that's not how it works.
Yeah, but you're taking the action and getting started and getting it rolling. And I'm the world's worst, like where I'll overthink things and decide to do something and then talk myself out about it, or decide to do the next thing, but not actually take action. So I appreciate you taking action for the industry. And then how can we make this fun? Like how can fleets make this fun for their drivers?
Well, I think, the things that I want to see happen, obviously I want to move that needle. That's the real goal, right? That's the North Star, is moving that needle from 61, closer to parity with people like you and I. That being said, we got to educate drivers. Now, movement by itself isn't going to do it. Like if drivers are active, just consider the life today. Like they get in the truck, especially an over-the-road driver. You get in the truck, you're driving hours and hours of just sitting, sedentary. That's just so bad for you, any of us. It's really not good. But then when you do stop, you get fuel, or you go into a truck stop, the last thing you should do is go sit down. You need to move. You need to walk around the truck. You need to walk around the perimeter, anything that you can do to move. But that as you know, because you had acknowledged part of your journey, it wasn't because of the activity. Not that that wasn't relevant, because it is, but it was diet. You have to cut these things out: processed food, sugary drinks. And by that, I mean sodas, juices, energy drinks, things like that. You're drinking sugar is the worst way to get, sweet. And you got to eat better quality food. The more whole types of food, plant types of food that you can eat, the better. And you start doing that, you're going to start noticing a difference. So to make it fun, hey, I mean, you're going to feel a lot better. It's fun to feel good, right? But anytime you can do incentives around this sort of behavior and challenges and stuff like that, I think that helps to build awareness and helps to build fun. And then letting drivers know that the reason why, by the way, I care about your sleep, and if you have sleep apnea, I want to help get it addressed, because I promise you, if you let us do this, you are going to feel way better. And you're going to say, why didn't I do this before? They're not out to get me. They actually want to help me. And I've not had sleep apnea, so I can't relate personally to wearing a CPAP, for example. But everybody that I know that has says, oh my God, I feel like $1 million after this. That matters.
Yeah. I even remember just so I did 75 hard, which is where you work out twice a day, drink a gallon of water, do a handful of other things, during my weight loss journey, and which is still going today. It's a lifetime journey, but it was hard at truck stops. Cause when I was traveling, I would stop even as a four-wheeler, pull up to the front of the truck stop and I would work, because I had to get in 2 45-minute workouts, one of them being outside. And so the days where I was driving all day, I mean, it took, I felt, a little bit kind of crazy just walking around the truck stop parking lot, but I got it done. And, so it is doable. And so that'd be cool as a part of this movement, putting more trails in around truck stops. Like maybe we have Project 61 food in the truck stops, just continue to add healthy options as there's more demand for that. And for me, I think it was a little overwhelming thinking about, oh, I need to get food dialed in. I need to work out. I need to do this. There's so many things. But for me, the catalyst was just doing walking out of the gate, because, carrying an extra 100 pounds of fat, the walking, I could do that.
Right.
I might only do it 15 minutes day one, and then month 2 be doing 30 minutes and then doing an hour, but I could walk. And even during the process, I broke my right ankle really bad. And so that set me back a little bit. But that was the crazy thing, is I didn't gain any weight during that recovery of 3 months, because guess what? I focused on diet. And like you said, there's multiple pieces of it.
We talked earlier about intention, being intentional. And, when I travel, because I travel a lot too, I'm going to events, whether I get to speak it or not, or just as, representing either Driver Reach or Project 61 now, I take stuff with me. I take good food with me. And sadly, because I tell people of this stuff, because I love talking about it, I also get made fun of, because I'll take with me this bag of beans, right? Like black beans. It's in this pouch. It's so good. I get it from Fresh Market. And I take that with me because it's like my stash, right? I take certain things. I'll take oatmeal and stuff like that, so that if I'm at a place where they don't have these things, I'm going to eat that, because that's healthy for me. Instead of, I'll take fruit, I'll take vegetables, hummus, little dip and stuff like that. Now, if I'm at a place, or if I'm at a truck stop or, gas station or whatever, and they have good food, I'll probably get that and preserve my stash, as long as it's not, expiring or, getting hot or something. But that's the intentionality behind it. When you think that way, now I don't have this excuse of, well, I had to get 4 Slim Jims, because that's all that they had there, or Roller Dogs or whatever, garbage food. You got to be intentional. But for that to happen, you have to plan ahead. You have to actually go to the store and have those things. And that's the part where I think, drivers have a refrigerator. Almost all of them have a refrigerator in their truck, if they're over the road especially. Let's make sure that they're stocking that with stuff that they can be more intentional with, and they're going to feel so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things we did is in our home, just quit having processed food around. And if all you have is whole food, it takes a little more effort. Sadly, too easy to order DoorDash or something, but than it used to be. But
You can still order
but
a
still,
vegetable
just
bowl.
you can. That's right. So one of the things, like, typically, I know you're on the road with family, and I really appreciate you jumping on today so we could get this message out. But usually, you have a bunch of books behind you. And so one of the things we ask, like as we're focused on growth mindset and growth in the industry with Hire Truckers, is what are you reading? So yeah, what have you been reading? What's been sticking out to you lately?
So, I mean, I've always been a big fan of history. It's my fiction. You know what I mean? I don't read a ton of fiction, but that history is my nonfiction. But I'd say the last 2 years, stemming from that How Not to Die book that I've read tons of books on health and wellness, around, it's not driver specific. It's just all of us. But there's another book that I read recently that I would mention. It's called Die with Zero. And it was really interesting because the concept is, why are we trying to amass wealth, right? You and I, as entrepreneurial people, business owners, what's the end game? Is it to have a whole bunch of money that maybe will die? And we always say, oh, well, we'll leave it to our kids. And the point of this book, which I thought was, a good argument, was enjoy that wealth and prioritize your life better in a way where, look, if you have wealth, spend it responsibly, enjoying experiences with the people that you want to be around, period. And if you're thinking about leaving it to your kids when you die, that may be when they're 50 or so. Gosh, it would have been a lot more helpful if they would have gotten that money when they were in their 30s, probably, if that was really your goal. And so it's just a mindset. It has nothing to do with not having the desire to grow. It's just funneling. If your goal is really to have better life experiences before we're all gone, then when you think it through that lens, you're going to make decisions a little bit differently. And like, instead of saying, well, it's going to cost a lot to do this thing, so we won't do it. Instead, I'll just put my head down and nose to the grindstone. You're like, no, we're going to do this thing because this is a major opportunity for us to spend quality time together. It's worth it. Can't take it with me. Let's enjoy the time that we have together.
Yeah, I've had several people recommend that book, but I have not read it yet. So I'm actually excited about diving into that. We had, there was a group of other business owners I was meeting with in Austin yesterday, and we were talking about family vision and legacy and planning. And one of the questions on there, like what's your net worth goal? Or but the way they worded it was, how much is enough?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I just put, what I have now, like today, is enough. Now, am I going to try to use my time, talent, energy, connections, like to build more? Like, yes, because I think that's good, good stewardship, and God designed us to work. However, what I have today is enough, because otherwise, like if you have the mentality that you need to hit a certain number, like, which I have goals, but they're for impact. And if you have the mentality that you need to hit a certain number, you're never going to be satisfied, because then you're going to want more stuff. Like, and so just think about where you are now. Think back 5 years ago, like you're probably, most people couldn't imagine where they are today, or if you can go back 10 years, and in terms of opportunity and things. And but yeah, it all doesn't matter. Like, it's time with people, it's relationships, and so, which I don't think money necessarily is a bad thing, but it's just like how much you're attached to it, and it defines you. Because I've had certain seasons where it's defined me,
Mm-hmm.
and success, and it, yeah, then it like hurts when it goes away, because money can go away quicker than it came. And yeah, but I'm super excited to read that Die with Zero book, and dive into it and just reflect more.
I think you can relate to that. I mean, I think you and I share that quite a bit in terms of just how we prioritize things, and I think you'll align well with it.
Was there anything, Jeremy, that I should have asked today that I have not asked?
Well, it's been a challenging last couple of years. I think we can all relate to that. And there's no clear light at the end of the tunnel, but we know that there will be one. And, I think the important part is prioritizing what matters most. And I am blessed, and I know you are too. We are blessed in terms of our families, the health of our families. And so I can tell you one of the things that what really, really made it so much more complete for me with doing Project 61 is we were going to a farmer's market, in our neighborhood. It was just a few weeks ago. And all of our, kids, I have 3 kids, 10, 11, and 12. They're all wearing, their Project 61 t-shirt. And I said, oh, okay, let's all, so we all put our shirts on and we went to this farmer's market. And the looks that we got from some people, like, obviously this is something. What is this Project 61 thing? And somebody asked, and my daughter, who's 12, was saying how it was, it's this, effort to help drivers and their average life expectancy. And I was so proud of her. And, if you can do something that your children can be really proud of, man, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty special. So that put a stamp on what we're doing. This is something I'm super passionate about, and I want to affect change. I love it.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, there's nothing like hard times bringing out the focus on what really matters. Because it's been challenging for me in a lot of different areas, like the last 2 or 3 years. And man, I've grown more through that, not in the good seasons, like where everything's
Right.
easy or easier, it's never easy. But man, I've grown so much more just when things are a little more challenging or a lot more challenging. And I just have a different appreciation of sitting on the back porch and watching a sunset, with my 4-year-old, or, every night at dinner, we talk about wins, like everybody, shares 3 wins. And, we just try to get agreement from our 19-month-old. We're like last night, I was like, yeah, so that pizza you're eating, the little pita pizza, which is not super healthy, is your win today, and he'll make some noise. But
And it came on a truck.
The little moments.
Right?
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm. All came on a truck, and the high chair he's sitting in, and all the furniture was sitting on at the dinner table. So kind of as we're wrapping up, just some closing thoughts from me, think about your why, and then think about one little way to start to get healthy. And so one of those ways is just, if you want some accountability, jump in the step challenge. And again, that's project-61.org. Then you can also message Jeremy or I on LinkedIn, and we can send you the link. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for your time today and carving some time out of your family trip. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, love it. Thanks so much, Aaron. I really appreciate it as well.
Thank you for joining us today. Our goal with the Hire Truckers podcast is to provide industry insights, marketing trends, and motivation to level up your recruiting game. If we added value, take a few seconds to share this with your network. Have a great week.